Alright, so here we've got the fuel tank and the carburetor, and a little gasket right here, hang on to that. But this is just a nasty mess, so what we're going to do is take a little air compressor and clean it off before we access the bolts. I'll do that over here off camera. Alright, so here we are. Clean it up. Came off pretty easy. Now, I like to use these cake tins just in case there's any fuel leakage or oil leakage on other parts. Also, you can drop your screws and whatever in here, and it keeps everything together. Right here, big box store. We all know the big W, 88 cents. Cheap auto parts tools. So now there are 5 screws that are holding this carburetor on, and it's just a regular number 2 Phillips. Back those out. What we're after is underneath this carburetor is a gasket and a diaphragm, and that diaphragm wears out. So if your lawnmower with this kind of carburetor runs but runs rough, there's a good chance your diaphragm is just need to be replaced. So let me show you. There we go. So now check it out. Now if you take a look at this carburetor, underneath here there's a screen that filters the fuel. There's a spring right here that helps this diaphragm pump up and down, and then this is the carburetor itself. There are no other parts that you need to take off. But we're gonna spray it with carb cleaner to clean it anyway. But I want to show you here on the tank is a gasket and a diaphragm. Pay attention and notice that the diaphragm goes against the tank and the gasket goes on top of it. Okay, it's important that you put that in the right direction. Now this is the diaphragm here. That spring sits like so, and when this engine is running, it pumps up and down and pumps that fuel into the system. So that's what we're replacing today. This is actually pretty clean here. We'll spray into this little well and just clean this off with some carb cleaner as well, just before we put it all back together. Alright, that should be good enough. Now, what I'm using to replace this diaphragm and all these parts is this Briggs and Stratton part number 5083, that has everything in this little kit that we need to clean this up and get this thing back in running condition. Inside this package, directions. We got a new replacement filter screen. Slip it on there. We got a new spring. Now the spring just presses onto this little nipple thing there. And as we mentioned earlier, now the diaphragm is going to go like here. Make sure the holes line up. I've put this on before where they didn't, and for some reason the lawnmower didn't want to run the way it was supposed to after I got it back together. So make sure those holes line up, and then we'll take this, put it back in place. Now I'm going to start snugging them down a little bit, but I'm going to alternate. We'll start tightening that one down a little bit until it's snug. And over here about the same. Same. Just till each one starts to tighten up. Okay, then we'll go back to the beginning. A little bit tighter. A little bit tighter, all the way around again, just to tighten them up all evenly. One more time, snug them up. There we go. Take this washer, put it back on there. Throw these parts away. And now this is ready to go back on the lawnmower.